is a week with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This is part 2 of a 2-part video where we're looking at the positives and negatives of this video game. This list is going to be a little bit longer. This is the dislike list. There are a couple of things that stuck out to me that I wanted to run down, and I'll get right into it with Revelation. That's when you push the up button or hold the up button. A beam of light comes from your person. It shows everything around you that's either loot or quest item or whatever. This was something that was standard in this game. It's no longer standard. You have to spend an ability point on it. This is a nitpicky thing on my end, and mind you, this is a dislike from a person who's played almost every Assassin's Creed game. Within these last 2 iterations of Assassin's Creed, they've given us an eagle, and the eagle basically spots out, enemies. It shows you where your task is, or your missions are, or locations and stuff like that. Now, in the last game, Eagle Vision used to show you where you can find materials, and the Eagle will literally show you who had what and what quantity that they had. Now, this was good for the crafting in the game. This is the first one. The crafting in the game was extensive. You had to craft a lot, and they did back off a little bit of the crafting in this video game, but there are elements that you have to craft. Now, these things are hard to come by, especially with the amount of crafting that you have to do in the video game. And my complaint is that Eagle Vision doesn't show you where these things are now. This is a little bit difficult. My biggest complaint at this point is that the story, meh. Good game, fun game, and I know I reiterate this enough, addictive game, but this story is definitely worse than the last story. Origins was good in the fact that Origins made you feel for Bayek and the story that he had going on, which was basically him and his wife dealing with the assassination of his son. There was a lot of emotional beats to it, which, I never really go to Assassin's Creed for emotional beats, but with Origins being so good in storytelling, this one, Odyssey, thus far, which I said I've put 60 hours into it already, the story is very, very lacking. The problem I have with it is that this is a trope that's done way too often in video games. Now, I know you're saying, well, this is Assassin's Creed, you should be expecting an element of a cult in here, but when I heard about the cult, when I first started playing and the cult was introduced into the game, it felt cheesy. It just felt like, it felt really cheap. Like, yes, you have a list of people over here that you need to kill. It just kind of felt like a trope that has been done over and over and over again. Now, a lot of you like ship combat. A lot of you like sailing. A lot of you love the black Assassin's Creed Black Flag. A lot of you like those things. Me, I don't. I am not a pirate. I didn't want to play the Assassin's Creed game where it was basically naval fleet. I don't care about this. The thing that irritates me the most about this game is that They put a sailing game in here, well, and what they should really do is separate it. If you really want to make a naval battle game, you should take this out of this game and make it a standalone game, Ubisoft. And I know they're doing that. I'm aware that they're doing that. But what they continue to do is they continue to ram sailing down my mouth, and I do not like it, because I do not like the fact that you sail, you have to battle, you have to upgrade ships. Like the upgrade material and the crafting material that I could use to upgrade my character, I now have to use to upgrade my ship, because if I don't upgrade my ship, I will never be able to complete the story. That's the biggest problem. They make you do naval combat in order to progress through the story. Very irritating. They take for granted that everybody wants to sail. Not everybody plays this game to sail. I don't play this game to sail. I play this game because I am an assassin and I want to assassinate folks, and I want to be able to power up my person so I can just blow through enemies. I want to be able to see beautiful architecture. I want to be able to see the time period that we're in. I want to be able to see locations that are great. I want to see those things. I do not want to sail. There are times in the story that I've played that it's kind of felt cheesy. It's kind of felt like, say this is an example, and I don't want to give too much away about the game, but say in the game a character comes up to me and says, "Hey, would you like an apple or orange?" I say, "You know what, I'll take an orange." 5-10 minutes later, somebody comes to me and says, "Yeah, you're the guy who likes the oranges, huh?" Like, that's cheesy. That is very cheesy. Like that type of repeat of conversation or choice is cheesy. You don't need to do it. You don't need to show people that their decisions and stuff make sense in that manner. Do something different. Make it make sense. There's a particular decision I made in the game, and it came down to doing something devastating or something less devastating. When I made my decision, the game acted like I made the other decision. The game basically was saying, like, you made a decision and the world around you is going to act like, let's say this. There's a part in the game where they ask you to kill someone. I'm not going to say who they killed because I think you should experience this on your own. They ask you to kill somebody, or they ask you to leave them alone and let it be. I chose to let them be. The game continues to go on and has gone on as if you killed that person. That person is no longer around. No one has ever heard from that person again. They deemed this person as missing or dead. They declared him dead. So I kind of feel like, and mind you, this is only 60 hours into the video game, which sounds nuts, I know, it's 60 hours. But I have not completed the story, and this decision might come back. It could come back. But right now, it does seem and feel like it made no difference. A game like Assassin's Creed, you rely heavily on the ability to assassinate. I know for difficulty standings, they don't want you to be able to assassinate every single person. Like, you shouldn't be able to, like, if you're going up against a boss, and when I say boss loosely, but when you're going up against someone like a fort commander or something like that, like the highest commander in a fort, you shouldn't be able to just tap a button and all of a sudden it's done. I mean, I get that point of it, but the thing that gets me, the thing that bothers me, is that I could be fighting a heavy or a swordsman that's not a captain, that's just a regular soldier, same level as me. And when I go to assassinate that person, I either have to use an attribute called critical assassination to kill him, or if I use my assassination button without the attribute, I basically harm him. I don't kill him, I just harm him. And that to me is absurd, because you shouldn't have to use a skill point to be able to assassinate mid-level enemies. Assassin's Creed, since the beginning of the story, has always been about modern day person using the Animus to go back in time and control an ancestor to find artifacts, or to find out locations of certain things. This story mainly has been about Desmond. When Desmond died, before this new iteration of the story, between the last two games, and honestly, it might have been 3 games that we have not seen Desmond. When Desmond died, the story that made me want to know anything about modern day Assassin's Creed died with it. So what I'm saying is, you follow a story for 4 or 5 video games. That story is intriguing. The main character's gone. You want to know what's going on. The games get so repetitive that you skip a game, which I skipped. I skipped Syndicate, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and I'm assuming that's when they introduced this new lady. But when I came back to Assassin's Creed Origins, there was a new lady there that was using the Animus. And I could be honest with you, I did not care about her story whatsoever. It's boring. At this point, there's no intrigue to it. At this point, now, you've built a game that's so good inside the Animus that I don't want to play outside the Animus. It makes no sense to me. This story has been lingering and going on for forever. You can't tell that same story this long without there being some type of resolution. And that's what makes Assassin's Creed great. You can play Assassin's Creed and get different stories, and you feel as if the game's not being tired, or, well, when they were releasing games yearly, it got redundant at that point. But when they started going to this when they started going to this every other year format, you would definitely get to enjoy a story without feeling as if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It wasn't redundant. This story with the Animus is now redundant. Like, what they really need to do is they really need to repackage this game. I mean, it could be Assassin's Creed, but we just don't need anything outside of the Animus. It's not interesting anymore. No one cares. Or if you're going to split your team like they've done in the past, split a team that focuses, directly on time periods and stuff, like what they did Egypt the last game. They did Greece. They did Greece this game. Focus on those time periods and those locations. There's been people who desperately want to see Assassin's Creed in Japan. I would love to see an Assassin's Creed in Japan during that era, or in the feudal Japan era. That would be a great game. And then if you want to make a modern, this century Assassin's Creed game, do that. You can do both. You have 2 teams that work on this game. Instead of focusing so much on ship, naval combat, naval fleet stuff, have us get a modern day Assassin's Creed and give us an Assassin's Creed that's in the past. Link them that way. But this spend 70 hours playing Assassin's Creed in Greece and then spending an hour playing outside the Animus for a video game doesn't work. It's not working. And nobody cares about the hour they spend outside the Animus. They just don't. I wouldn't. And I don't. In conclusion, this game is very good. I am going to stop recording and I'm going to pick my controller back up and I'm going to play when I'm done doing this. So this game has been great. Like I said, it's been a week and some change. I've put 60 something hours into this video game. This game is great. I would recommend to anybody who's a fan of the franchise. I do find there's things that could have been improved, but at the same time, what can't be improved? Everything can be improved. This is a good game. Thank you guys. Until the next time we do a Weeks With. Peace.